Happy Fat Friday, green for GP Friday, and a GP report on: do you find yourself wondering at times why the storms come, and as I'm setting up my ZAP protocol for the day, I've got my syringes ready and everything. I'm going to take you with me while I do advocacy, because I feel like I always want to take the opportunity for anyone who is new to this to understand that ZAP protocol is how we deal with gastroparesis, a motility disorder. And if you don't know what motility disorders are, they are the movement, or actually for us, the lack of movement in the digestive system. And it can range from the esophagus all the way down to the rectum in varying degrees of nausea, vomiting, chronic, debilitating nausea, vomiting, fatigue, constipation, diarrhea, esophageal spasms. It can range the symptoms, and not everyone has all the symptoms. Some have some of the symptoms, and the degree to which they have the symptoms, from mild to moderate to severe, on all of those symptoms, those can be, quite different. And each of us with motility issues, some can be very functioning. Some can be to the degree that they need tube feedings and are not able to eat at all by mouth. Some, which I fall into the category where I have IV antiemetics and hydration fluids, and I have to periodically do TPN. I don't have continual, because that creates a situation with it creates more infection if you have a 24 access all the time, and I'm on my 5th portacath. So I'm trying to avoid infection. I've also had a colectomy, which means that I have most of my colon has been removed, except for about 6 to 7 inches, and it's direct sectioned into the rectum. So because of the lack of movement or dysfunction in your digestive tract, which varies from person to person, we deal with symptoms of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, fatigue, all of those in varying amounts and degrees. And it differs from person to person, so that you can't say, oh, gastroparesis is like this or this for any one person. And the person going to work, she or he has gastroparesis, and the person in the bed, they live a homebound life and has gastroparesis. Or the person who is very thin, they have gastroparesis, and the person who is very overweight, they have gastroparesis. And it makes for a very confusing situation, because all of the above is true. It's just the circumstances that go into the equation of the term gastroparesis diagnosis, and the factors that are underlying, whether it's diabetic gastroparesis or idiopathic gastroparesis, and whether the determination has been made under the idiopathic side of it or the diabetic gastroparesis. And I'm just talking about the gastroparesis part of the motility right now, not all the other, because like for myself, I have gastroparesis, chronic intestinal pseudoobstruction, and colonic inertia. So there's 3 motility disorders inside of that. And I'm just speaking about gastroparesis part right now. So if you had diabetic gastroparesis, and along with that you were overweight, and you were taking bites, and people not understanding that just because you were putting bites in your mouth and they didn't go where they were supposed to, and your body didn't absorb the nutrients that they were supposed to absorb, and they sat there, and your organs didn't do what they were supposed to do with the nutrients, and your body retained fluid, or it went into starvation mode, and so your outer body was a total outline description of what your inner body, its truth. So it's real hard when people say, oh, and you tell them what's going on when they ask, and they get this look on their face, because see, I have my son has that type of issue, and here I am very thin, and I tell people, I have trouble eating, and then the moment I put something in my mouth, there's that look across their face like, well, I thought you said you couldn't eat. And it's like, I know, but then I'm also telling you I'm starving, and I do stupid things that I shouldn't do because I'm starving. And you catch me on some of those days when I'm starving and I do something really stupid that I'll pay for 3 or 4 days because my stomach and digestive system doesn't work. So I tend to do this. I take the opportunity to tell you so much about the situation that I go off in different directions, because I feel like there's so much to explain that I don't want to leave something not explained, and then I still feel like there's something that I didn't explain that I could have explained, and I end up over-explaining. So I apologize. But it is kind of appropriate because we're on Fat Friday, but because I have, especially within my own family, the type of motility issues that are dealing with, like when my son's there and I'm there, and we have the two spectrums right there. And it's just frustrating, because it's not that people are trying to be mean. It's that there's a lack of understanding, and sometimes that lack of understanding extends even into the medical community itself, because we don't have enough medical professionals and specialists who know enough to help our community. And it's better than it used to be, because used to we would go in and we would be teaching as we were in the emergency room, and that has come down some. And I'm not going to say it doesn't still happen, because it does, but it has come down, because it's real hard to teach when you're in so much pain. Because I'll walk in, and I'm going to see if I can grab it. I'll walk in with medical sheets that I keep with me, and I call it the Bible of me, because I keep them typed out. And because when you're in a full-blown pain, and I have some that are notated, but I keep sheets of exactly what my diagnoses are, what my IV meds are, what my oral meds are, my supplements. Then I have my pain management. I have my surgeries. I have my allergies, which are quite extensive, because as we go along in these diseases, they become more. Then I have my contacts, and these are contacts for every pharmacy I use, for every doctor, every specialist. I also have on here every emergency notification person. Then I have what you might call a cheat sheet, or cliff notes of me, and it's done in note style with dates of the major moments, what has occurred when, so that you don't have to go into a file somewhere. I have it continually with me. It's my notes. And then I just keep that along with when I've had my last vaccine or pneumonia so it's all right there and typed up in a form, so they don't have to go too far, especially when I can't communicate. And it's typed out in a form, and I've done it over the years enough so that it's done in the form that they want it. It's suited to how they ask their questions and in their language. And it's very helpful. So that's one more fact. that goes into how you can make yourself helpful to you and to them. So back to where I was at the beginning, because what I wanted to get to at the very beginning is when you're in storms, and there are many that you go through on this road, and you're learning, always you're in learning mode. At least I hope we're in learning mode, because as someone who loves learning, sometimes learning when you don't have very many spoons, aka energy, is a challenge. And the challenge that was here recently is Skype. I didn't know Skype had some issues. I don't know if you know it or not too, that it can create some problems. I didn't know about them, and I was okay, and I thought I was so excited because I just recently got more data, and I didn't know that there were some issues that went along with Skype, and right now I can't get in my blog because we can't figure out why. But my attitude with the whole situation has been, finally, after I calm myself down, because I'm a persistent person, in that I know that God has given me the ability to look at things and say, I'm not going to let this go. I am truly that never ever going to give up, because I'm going to work this until I find a solution. I'm just going to do it. So when I might put it down, because, I'm running out of spoons, but not out of patience, because I'll go back to it. So when I realized that this was something that I was coming up against, and I couldn't get on and do the group videoing because I had it in place and I hadn't touched it, but I was getting the message that I couldn't get into it. I was blocked because I had tried to get into it many times, but it wasn't me. So that was when I realized there was a problem with it. So that was part of why I wanted to share my experience with what had happened to me, so others would know that it wasn't just them. Because it's not only just you aren't alone with all of these symptoms and issues and the combinations of, because we hear a lot, well, you're complicated. You're a complicated patient. You take too long, which obviously I take too long. It's taken me 12 minutes or something to tell you all this. But you're complicated. And today, if you take too long in a primary care physician, if you're over 5-10 minutes in a very packed schedule, you're automatically a complicated. You need to be in another type of office situation. So if you don't have your act together and can tell it quickly, then if you don't have an amazing doctor that's invested and enthusiastic and ready to go to work for you, which you really need to find that type of doctor with our kind of patient. So when you tying it back to the issue of the Skype and blogging and making sure your information and telltale signs of if you're having a problem and you can't get online, and being persistent about the problem. And then I go to where every morning I'm in prayer, meditation, and journaling. And when I get to that moment where I'm obviously not supposed to be in this certain place or zone at this moment, because in prayer and journaling and meditation, I automatically go to, okay, I'm not meant to be here. So I'll pray and wait for the place I'm meant to be. So I can go to Google Hangouts, and Google Hangouts seems to be a much easier process, and I was able to go in and out of it and not have any of the issues that I was having over there. So I don't know if that's how y'all have found that to be. I would love to know if that was true for you. That is, if you could hang in for this many minutes. I may have to redo this because it took way too long, and I don't know if that's too long for y'all. So, with much love, I'm going to stop this and say, I hope you are having a day that is comfort and strength, and you know what your gifts are. Even if you're not on a path of prayer, but you're in a path of meditation, you know what your gifts are. And if you don't, I think facing illness like this, it challenges you to ask yourself, what are your gifts? Because we all have them. We all have unique things we bring to the table. And I would love to know, what are your gifts? Because you do. You have them. You have a special set of talents. And I would love for you to explore what they are and know what your talents are and what you think they are. And to take it just a little bit further, you also have a gift, whether it's writing, drawing, crafting. You have another gift. It's not a monetary gift. You don't do it for money. You do it for you, a process that makes you feel uplifted. What is that gift as well? I would love to know what you've found is your gift there as well. So, with much love and blessings, thank you.